Kia ora, g'day, hello. Paul Brennan, Bring Our Birds Home. It is Tuesday, July the 18th, time for a video update. I realise it's been a couple of weeks almost since the last one. I've been pretty busy with broadcasting work all hours of the night and day and overnight as well. And of course doing everything to bring our birds home. This update relates specifically to progress on the DC-8 in Manaus, Brazil and the DC-10 in Havana, Cuba. If you remember the previous video update on July 5th, I mentioned that we had some help on the ground out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, a former business associate. His name is Caesar, and he has been working to organise us some legal representation on the ground in Manaus, Brazil. A firm or somebody who can represent us properly to the Court of Amazonia, who have jurisdiction over the incumbent asset, which is the derelict airframe of the DC-8, following a bankruptcy many years ago. And of course the company that owns the airport, Embraer, the aircraft has been parked there a long time. It's bound to owe parking fees, so we need to talk to them about that, because I'm sure that will come into the negotiation for a price. In the next few days I should be able to tell you who that legal firm or individual will be representing us in Manaus. Ahead of us then going there with cameras rolling, in person, face to face, to do a final deal. I've got a feeling that won't be too far away. As soon as I have that information, I'll update it on the Facebook page. We have another line of help opening up in the form of an expat Kiwi. I was talking with him. His name is Colin on Sunday. He lived in Manaus up till recently for 8 years, brought up a family there, ran a business there, and learnt the language, fluent speaker of Portuguese. He's offered all his help. He briefed me on the area, the culture of the people, how they sort of relate to people from outside, what I could expect from officialdom, and the sort of help and services that could be available to assist us with the mission of recovering this DC-8. That was so useful. Colin even offered to maybe travel with us if we needed an interpreter, and to pin down local officials. He sort of knew a whole bunch of them. He offered to do that for cost. So that's fantastic. And that, again, is what this campaign is all about. People just coming out and offering their help. And that is just so good. And the third line of help that's opened up is, and this is why I have this playing on the screen, is in the form of Embraer, the KC 390. I have this brochure because the first meeting I had with the Brazilian embassy about my idea to repatriate the DC-8, this brochure was sitting on the desk. Obviously, Embraer are very keen to sell this new military freighter, state-of-the-art, to air forces around the world, including the RNZAF. This is footage from the Paris Air Show only a few weeks ago. Right after this air show, they flew this aircraft all the way to Auckland Whenuapai Air Base, and I think around the top half of the North Island, to demonstrate its capabilities to our Air Force. There are literally hundreds of millions of dollars of business opportunity here for Embraer, replacing the C-130s that we have. This aircraft is a fine aircraft. I've read all the details, the performance specs. It certainly is a great aircraft to replace the C-130. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being the one. And also these engines are the military version of the A320 engines, which forms the core of Air New Zealand's engine overhaul business in Christchurch, so there are business synergies here. The situation back in February, though, when we first met and I got this brochure, was that Embraer were really working hard to certify it so they could put it into production and sell it, and weren't planning on flying the aircraft outside of Brazil for a couple of years. But of course that's changed. They went to Paris and now they've come to New Zealand. So now I have the details of top people in Embraer. I'll be contacting them to see if we can leverage both ways. They can generate some goodwill in this country in front of the public and taxpayers by helping us with our DC-8 project, and at the other end, helping us identify the people that will cut through the red tape that will allow us to achieve our mission. We're not asking for money, we don't have the handout as such, but we need good help to connect us with the right people so we can get the outcome we want, and that is to reclaim that DC-8, the only remaining Air New Zealand DC-8 left on the planet, delivered in '65 as ZK-NZC. And another thing here, you may have seen in the news recently that the German government have purchased a derelict 737 out of an airport in Brazil. This aircraft is a 737-200 QC. You can see the QC door in that picture there. In fact, here's a blow-up of it. This was the aircraft involved in the Lufthansa Flight 181 hijacking out of Europe. It ended up in Mogadishu, Somalia, in the late 70s. Unfortunately, the captain was killed in that hijacking. The aircraft has just been bought by the German government from the airport company where it's been sitting for a long time for $32,000 US, which is the parking fee amount that it's owing the airport from being there all those years. So I guess my point is, if the German people and the German government see that as important, we should be seeing the recovery of our airframes of national interest with an equal measure of importance. And the interesting thing here is, obviously it's doable because they've done it, but also puts a price ceiling on what we could expect to pay. Now the DC-10, the last update I gave you was just after the meeting I had with Mario, the ambassador from Cuba to New Zealand. He was off to Cuba on the 12th of July. He's there right now, and he took all the information I gave with him, and he told me that he would seek out the right people, ask the right questions, and we get together and have a chat when he gets back, which is about a week away. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with Mario again and finding out what we can do to reclaim that DC-10. Again, the only remaining original Air New Zealand DC-10 left on the planet, the only one left, delivered to us in 1976 as ZK NZS. So that's about it for the update. Thank you for continuing to support Bring Our Birds Home. Remember, the Give a Little page is still there, www.givealittle.co.nz/cause/Bring Our Birds Home. We will be traveling soon. I can feel it. And that's a good thing because it means we're getting close to the goal. Big donations, small donations, middle donations, it's all welcome. We're approaching 5K. It's all looking good. Thank you for the images that you've been sharing. As soon as I get them, I touch them up if they need a bit of touching up and put them up on the page. And we're getting great reach. Tens of thousands of people are seeing the pictures and watching the videos. So the campaign is really moving ahead. We're big on Instagram now with nearly 600 followers. And we have some news media opportunities coming up again in the next few weeks with some specific articles and aviation publications, and maybe an appearance on one of the breakfast TV shows. We'll see. So that's it for now. If anything happens, if there's anything new to report, there'll be another video update. But I want to thank you sincerely again for supporting Bring Our Birds Home.